My name is Tina Harper, and I'm shelter coordinator for the domestic abuse shelter in Key West, Florida. My particular story, I'll start by letting you know that I just celebrated my 20-year anniversary of independence and freedom and peace in my life. I married very young, right out of high school, to an old-time family friend. We were married for 14 years. I had 2 children within those 14 years. It was a very tumultuous relationship. I almost died several times. I had many broken bones. My nose has been broken 4 times. But statistics tell us about domestic violence that women will leave an average of 7 to 8 times before they leave for good or they die in that situation. So my 8th time deciding to leave.
Did you really try leaving 7?
Yes. And I always went back because there's a lot of the emotional abuse and the mental abuse. There's a lot of brainwashing that goes along with that.
Think that you won't make it?
I wasn't worthy. He would have my children taken away. That's the biggest fear that women in these situations have, is that DCF is going to come take your children. So that was a fear. I was never allowed to work or have any access to money, so I didn't even know what I might be interested in to do for a living or do for a job. I had never seen a paycheck, didn't know how you got paid, how to read the stub, any of that kind of stuff. When I finally decided to go, I think it was only because I was volunteering at the local elementary school with my children. And the principal of that school sat on the board of a shelter in the city where I lived. And I would come in and have black eyes and obvious signs to someone that's trained in this area.
Yeah.
And she just came up to me one day and she said, "I don't know what your story is. And I really don't need to know, but I know that something's wrong and something, that you may need help. And if you ever need help, all you have to do is come to me and say, 'I'm ready, I need help.'" And one morning, taking my kids to school after a terrible, terrible night of fighting and abuse and violence, I decided today was the day. It ended up being the coldest day of the year in like 8 years. And I didn't want to take anything with me, my purse or anything, because I always walked the kids to school. And he didn't work. And so I didn't want him to think anything was different.
Right.
So I'd walk the kids to school. I walked in the office and I said, "Today's the day." And within an hour and a half, we were in shelter, in a domestic violence shelter.
And you left everything?
Left everything. No ID, nothing. But I do remember that day in shelter being asked, because you go in, you do an intake, and you talk to counselors. And she said, "Tina, what do you want?" And I just started to cry, and all I could think of was that I want to have control over my own mind and my own body. That was all I could come up with that day. And they were able to help me find that and how to find that.
How old were your kids?
My kids were, when I left, 12 and 8. My oldest son was 12, my youngest son was 8. And we lived in a very small home, and yes, they witnessed abuse. Yes, they heard the abuse. Yeah. So and I'm proud to say that they're both grown men now, and they made a promise to me that the abuse stopped when we left. So without the help of a support system and friends, I really didn't have any family because I was an only child, and my parents died when I was very young, 17 and 19. So without dear, dear friends that I had known all my life, and that support system and being able to go to a shelter, I very well could have ended up homeless and could have very well still be homeless as a result of that. We know that women in domestic violence situations domestic violence is the #1 cause of their homelessness. And domestic violence knows no boundaries. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, if you're green, purple, brown, blue, it knows no boundaries. So there's women that come from very high places, beautiful, nice homes, that live on the streets today because they've chosen that's better than being intimidated and beat in the ground. And what I would say to young women today is that, you know, it's really great when you meet up with somebody and he wants to know where you are all the time, and he wants to call you all the time, and he tells you, oh, I just want to make sure you're safe, and maybe you shouldn't really hang out with them because they're not such good people. That all sounds really great, and it really sounds like he loves you oh so very much. But those are all red flags for those of us that are trained in domestic violence. Those things are all red flags, and before you know it, you're isolated. You have no access to your friends anymore. That's domestic violence, emotional abuse, you know, intimidation, fear to call your girlfriend to talk to her because he might find, what were you talking to her about? And I would want young women to know that even though there's help for us, there's services, there's things available for women that are in domestic violence situations, but this never leaves you. It never leaves you. I'm a 20-year survivor. And you could smell something, taste something, hear something, see something, hear someone's story, and a lot of times we live vicariously through other people, and that vicarious trauma can come up to bite you at any time. And women ask me, when am I going to stop seeing the images? When am I going to stop? Never. Never. Don't, as long as you don't stay there. It's not a life that you want to live the rest of your life. Even though I'm successful now, I have a great job now, I get to work in a field that not only helps people, but it helps me. It helps me to fulfill my personal mission in this movement. It's not for young, healthy women in high school and college. There's red flags everywhere. And when you get that little funny feeling in your tummy, or you think, ooh, or one of your girlfriends says, how'd you feel when he said that? Or, you know, think about it. Think about it real hard. You know, I try to treat everybody that walks into our shelter and everybody that I encounter in my life with dignity and respect. And I deserve the same thing.